Workflow Wednesday. It's the 12th of January, 2022. I can't even believe we're in the middle of January. Today with me, I have Eric Marquis, my peer here at Thirdera. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Troy. Thanks for having me join today.
Of course. Thanks for jumping on. We've got some fun news to talk about. Thirdera is not even a year old yet, and we've seen a little bit of growth, haven't we?
Yeah, just a little bit of growth. I think we're on a runaway train right now. So it's pretty exciting, and the ride's been pretty exciting, sir.
It has been a fun, exciting ride. Definitely a lot of change. And one of the things that's been kind of cool is sometimes there's aspirational growth as companies are founded, and other times there's really strategic, visionary growth. And I would say we're this. It was aspirational, but it was backed with solid tactics. And so if you look at the acquisitions, you look at the organic growth, it's been kind of neat to see that vision from Jason Royan really, coming into clarity, becoming more crisp at seeing it. But today, Eric and I are here to talk about something that Thirdera has put together. We've engaged another organization to do some research for us, to dig into what are some trends that are hitting companies and that are really the trends to watch for in IT, in automation, as it affects, ServiceNow, but really the business of, how did the report put it? Modern technology, right, Eric?
Modern technology, yes, which can encompass a lot of things, right?
Yeah. What did you think of that definition of modern technology?
It gave me visions of yesteryear with, a lot of legacy outdated platforms. It really started to paint a picture in terms of what we have today that's more AI powered and enabled versus, the old days of mainframe dummy terminals. That's kind of the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh, you gave me flashbacks of the old Wise terminal that I had sitting next to my first desk.
I learned on that in high school, and now I'm dating myself.
Yeah, these are gray hairs. But you're right. It did give a vision, a lot of disparate things. And like we were talking about, prior in our conversations here at Thirdera, is this COVID pandemic reality that has been the last 2 years is really accelerated and forced change. And I think it's almost compounded the issue with, that dated technology. Right. And I think that's one of the things that I enjoyed reading about the Insights report, is that this modern technology is here. Which in some places it was forced on us, where, all right, you have to work from home overnight, right?
Exactly. I think there was many organizations, especially large enterprises, were already kind of making that shift left, but I think it accelerated that shift. Due to the pandemic and, due to the circumstances of really having to mobilize to a remote workforce sooner than a lot of these folks are ready to, which came with a lot of implications. How do you secure the enterprise, right? How do you enable productivity, in a remote format when you're used to having an in-office brick and mortar? How do you manage it effectively, right? So certainly a lot of challenges that came along with it, but definitely saw the shift really start to take place more, it seemed like, over the last year.
Indeed. And I think that's why some of the numbers were so high. I think both you and I caught it. It's like 83% of the people that were surveyed in this analysis said they're using this type of modern technology, which is very expansive, right? It's multiple modalities for sending and receiving information. It's AI, like you talk about, how do you improve the automation, and it's other systems to really have a trusted system for work, whether it's AI ops or others. But 83% say they're using that daily.
It's funny, Troy. A year ago, I would have said you're crazy. There's no way. There's an error in the study somewhere, right? But given the year that we've had, it's not as surprising as I thought it may have been.
Right. And with that much adoption, the question that I think we both jumped to is, yeah, great, you're using it, but did you get value from it? Was there a return on investment? And there's some pretty, again, eye-opening numbers inside this analysis where, the one that jumped to me, if I kind of jump to over a year, 89% said they saw an ROI in less than a year.
I mean, that's quite frankly amazing. I think, just reading a lot of studies and reports, previously, I mean, typically that ROI timeline, exceeded a year, if not
Right.
more.
Right.
In terms of adopting the technologies, making sure that it's implemented properly so that you can get those efficiency gains and thus the cost reductions right in the return.
Right. And if you look at where Thirdera is formed, right, the work we get to help our clients really uncover is being that differentiated partner. There's over 1,400 of us, right? But in the ServiceNow ecosystem, Thirdera is standing out and will continue to stand out as a gap between the regional partners that can do a little bit on the platform, either on the platform or in specific regions of the globe, or the global integration partners, the GSIs, that can meet you anywhere on the globe, but they also specialize in so many different things. They had a hard time having the depth and the focus on ServiceNow. We fit right in the middle. And ServiceNow is such a platform to help that automation, right? To help tie those systems together. What would you add to that, right? That if you look at where we sit in the midst of that with the problems of compressed acceleration to automation and digitization.
I think as an organization, I think we're positioned perfectly for companies to help realize, the value of their investments and help them get ROI. Because we are 100% focused on the platform, and that's a really big differentiator. And we're global in size and scale and the reach that we have.
Right.
And to me, that's important, and I think it's important to help customers along their journey, not just part of it, but, the full journey on the platform. And this has become a truly enterprise platform where it started in IT. To automate workflow around a common IT process. And that has expanded out much more widely. And I think you need a partner that's focused not just on the IT components or subsets thereof, but the whole platform,
Right.
and really focus on the helping to drive, efficiency within the larger enterprise. That's where the value derives from. I mean, the starting point isn't the end point.
Yeah, indeed. And often it's a journey like that, right? That, at least personally, I aspire to be that educator and advocate for the people that I help, right? And some of that is being able to step back and look at those automations, look at the things that we need to do to be digital, and say, why is success not, just automatic? What do we need to do to help along that journey? That I think you'd put it that it's set in place and done, and that's just a fallacy, right?
It really is. I mean, thinking about making an investment in an automation or advanced technologies and figuring you can set it or forget it. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster and really a lost opportunity cost, right? There are a lot of hurdles, to really being able to, adopt these technologies. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. I think, in the study, I think we refer to that human machine partnership, right? And that being an essential component to help realizing the efficiency for automation, and how it's properly applied to create the right experiences. Because at the end of the day, we're creating efficiency, but we're trying to create the right experiences for employees and customers.
Right. There's a lot to talk about in that little sentence, Eric. Right. If in particular on artificial intelligence, I think, and we've had this conversation before too. And if you see some of the earlier now with Troy's, I had an AI panel on where we started to pick some of this back, and we've seen this with multiple waves of innovation in the past, right? We joked earlier, it's like there are some people that would really much rather be riding a horse than driving a car, forget an electric car. Right? That innovation drives huge transformation in what jobs there are around, and there's fear that goes with that. How do you think AI is hitting some of those things? Let's spend some time talking about the fear around AI and some of the reality around it that can dispel some of that fear.
Well, I mean, I think as you're alluding to that, there is a kind of a false perception, right, of machines replacing people, and and I think that's just true fear of change, is kind of that underlying component, right? I mean, how is this going to impact me? How am I going to be able to adapt how I do things, my skill sets, the value I can add back to the organization? But I think those two things can coexist together. to
Right.
help enable more efficiency. And I think, there's not enough out there that really documents that right now. It's really talking about how you displace, how you shift left, how you drive efficiency, reduce costs. And a lot of times that comes with, at the expense of, employees. I mean, but if you look historically, technology has really shifted the way we do things and has presented new job opportunities and has replaced others, right?
Yeah. I like that. And part of it comes from, and maybe it's just my own personal bent too, to be constantly learning.
Mhm.
I think as I've watched people that have been affected by that, or as I've been affected by that, the job changes, right? That there's new things that we can be doing. And I think as automation comes around, whether that's the industrial automation I worked on eons ago, my stuff could blind or dismember you. Lasers and robotics was kind of cool, but there was that fear there as we automated manufacturing that the jobs were going to go away. And what it did is it changed the jobs so that you're spending more time thinking about how you can make things more reliable, more consistent, and more efficient along the way. And now as we look at AI, it's kind of doing that same thing in the digital world. Is how do we make the work more efficient so that our staff can spend more time doing really innovative work to drive more value for the company.
Well, I see it as an evolution of our digital journey, really.
Mm-hmm.
I remember back in the day, people thought computers were going to completely replace people as we started stepping into that as a means to automate a little bit more and gain efficiency in how we do our work, right? So
Right.
we're starting to go through that life cycle of really being manual, and we step into, kind of that first iteration of that digital maturity, right? And I see this kind of as another step in the journey.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot that we can talk about with artificial intelligence on automation, and I think ServiceNow is right in the core of it. And a phrase that we're seeing more and more. I mean, we see it in the insights report, and we see it, in many references to ServiceNow. That ServiceNow is really focused on being a platform of platforms. Talk a little bit about how you react to that phrase, the platform of platforms, and how we saw that in the insights report, right? So why does platform of platforms matter?
Well, first, Joy, I mean, I think you need something that brings it all together, right? That integrates, orchestrates, and can help you really realize the efficiency you're trying to gain as an organization. I think, in the year 2022, and I can't believe I'm saying that,
Right.
A lot of people are still doing things in a manual way or in silos, across organizations, especially large organizations.
Yep.
Where they've made an investment in tools, and process and a way of doing things that they're not yet ready to change for one reason or another. And I think that platform concept is important because that's what's going to help us that's the glue that binds everything together in terms of integrating with these investments that you made. They're not sunk costs and not things that you have to replace. You can integrate in with these mission critical platforms, right? That
Right.
may give you a competitive advantage, or a core to your business, and then you can orchestrate across people, process, and technology. And that's important because right now, without having that platform and that unified workflow, how else do you do it? There's manual stops, and there's a lot of risk in that process and a lot of inefficiency.
Right. I agree. And you kind of jump back to how we started talking about modern technology versus some of the traditional technologies, that there were very much silos. And I think that's where we've seen customers really start using ServiceNow. And ServiceNow, as they continue to build out more of their integration hub and some of their other spokes to reach out to it, make those integrations less painful, quicker. That's where they really fit well, as that platform of platforms, where you keep the key capabilities in these other platforms that you need, where there's specialized focus, specialized information. And ServiceNow ends up being that glue to be the work. The way I put it is the enterprise system for structured work. That it's a trusted system, as David Allen would say, from getting things done, right? It's where do I put this element of work, so that it can be traced through. And ServiceNow can be that platform for it. And I think that's really the key, is looking at where did we used to walk down the hall to find someone. And now we're walking down the virtual hall, whether that's an IM on Teams or Slack, or sending another email, or texting someone. That's really inefficient. It might feel like it's efficient, right?
Well, and how do you provide a layer of governance and management around that? How do you get visibility into that? You don't. So,
Right.
when we're all using different means to be able to communicate and collaborate, it may be efficient to us, but it's not efficient as a whole.
Right. Cool. Well, Eric, thanks for taking time to dig a little bit into this ServiceNow Insights and Vision Report for 2022. I look forward to Thirdera putting out one annually. That's my aspiration and hope, right? I don't know if I haven't been told that this is going to be an annual reoccurrence, but it's our first one. And so let me just show you a link you can get to. We'll post it in the notes, but if I show my desktop, right on Thirdera's site, we've got a link, and like I said, I'll put it in the show notes so you can get it. But by filling out this short form, you can get this report, be able to dig through the insights that this team was able to pull together for us, and see those trends that Eric and I were alluding to. Again, great information there. Click into it, get your copy, and then as a follow-up, you can reach out to either Eric or I. If you're in our territory, we're glad to help you. But again, if you're outside, we can help connect you with someone within Thirdera to follow up, because we want to be there to listen through what are the changes and the trends that you're seeing affecting your organization 2022, and how can we help you step back and help you really chart a course that it isn't once and done. It's a journey to really improve modern technology and how it's helping your organization improve. Anything you'd add, Eric?
That's right. I think you said it perfectly. It's been a pleasure to join you today for Workflow Wednesday, and hopefully we're able to generate a little bit of thought and interest around this topic. And certainly we're looking forward to maybe continuing the discussion where we can with some of our clients.
Sounds good. Again, thanks, Eric. I appreciate the time jumping on this adventure with me. And find us on LinkedIn. This goes out on YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And so I appreciate any subscriptions you get on my Now with Troy channel. And I look forward to connecting with you. And we'll see you next Wednesday on Workflow Wednesday. Thanks. Bye.
Take care.